Welcome to the Rise of the Trades podcast, the show dedicated to helping you to build, grow, and scale your trades or construction business. All rise for your host, Craig Wilkinson.
Welcome to this week's coaching episode on the Rise of the Trades podcast, where this week I'm going to be teaching you and you're going to be exploring why it's absolutely vital and essential that you start to form some new good habits within your life and business that I call morning and evening routines. I'm also going to be sharing with you why it's essential. I'm going to be giving you some tips on what I believe you might want to think about or introduce into your new daily habits. And I'm also, because of popular demand and the amount of people asking me to share this, I'm going to share with you my exact morning, evening and daily routine that I've religiously had for the last 16 years that keeps me at the top of my game. Now, if I'm being honest with you, this podcast episode were always going to be planned for some time in the future. But given the masses of comments in our Trades Freedom Club Facebook group, the direct messages on WhatsApp and Facebook that we've had from last week's coaching session, which was episode 9, called How to Develop a Positive, Bulletproof and Growth Mindset to Achieve Success, we've had that much positive feedback from that episode that I thought I'd bring this one forward because it ties in nicely with last week. Now, when you look at the comments inside our Trades Freedom Club Facebook group, you'll see that many of you have been saying, Craig, episode 9 was brilliant because it gave us the kick up the arse and the kick up the backside that we needed to knock us out of that negative rut or that downward spiral that we'd been finding ourselves in. And let's be honest, life in general and building a business can sometimes feel overwhelming and can sometimes feel like a lonely place. So there is no wonder that from time to time we start to have negative thoughts, have limiting beliefs, start questioning why we're doing what we're doing in business, and that starts to have a negative impact on our energy levels and motivation, and we can sometimes find ourselves in what I call a negative rut. So the session last week has given many of you the kick up the arse that you needed to snap out of that routine that you'd found yourself in, to get yourself motivated, fired back up, even fall back in love with your own business and get you back on tracks. Now, if you've not listened to episode number 9, can I suggest that you might want to stop this episode now and go back and listen to that one first and then come back to this one? Because in episode 9, I do share with you or touch on my daily routine, where I do make reference to doing a specific podcast episode just on my routine. Hence the reason why I've moved the schedule and brought this one forward. So grab a notepad, grab a pen, strap yourself in, and let's get stuck in today's session all on creating morning and evening routines. People often say to me, Craig, how the hell do you do what you do? I mean, come on, you've got 4 children, 3 grandchildren, multiple businesses. You're either in gym, you're on holiday, you run your daughter's football team, you've got children at gymnastics and football and everything. You're just everywhere. How the hell do you find the time and the motivation and the energy to keep up with everything? And the way in which I get that energy and the way in which I keep up with everything is I treat life and business like a military operation, because it is. Business and life in general can be tough, or we can make it tough. I don't want that to happen. So I've got to bring in regimented routines and good daily habits that's going to keep me at the top of my game. And I need to be at the top of my game, not just for you guys that's listening to this podcast, but as a father, as a granddad, as a leader, as a community business leader, as the manager and coach of a football team. So many people rely on me that if I don't invest into my own personal development and I don't keep top of my game, how can I lead people if I'm sluggish, if I'm negative, if I'm doom and gloom, if I'm walking around with a grey cloud hung over my head all the time? I can't. So the first learning that I want you to take from this particular episode is this. You are the most important person to everybody around you, including yourself. So if you're not spending quality time, I call it me time. If you're not spending quality me time working on developing yourself, then we're going to struggle. Because my philosophy is this. To become successful in business or life, you first of all got to grow yourself before you can grow your business. If you want your results to grow in life and business, you've got to grow yourself because it's you that's going to achieve that success. There's only you that can motivate yourself, so it all has to start within. To do that, I got introduced to personal development 18 years ago, and 16 years ago, I started my first morning and evening routine that doesn't and didn't look anything like mine does today. It's completely changed because my circumstances have changed. My children have grown up, whereas years ago, 16 years ago, I got babies and toddlers, so things have had to change and morph. But if we're not invested into ourselves, we cannot expect our businesses to grow and flourish if we're not growing and flourishing as the leader. Now, I guarantee that somewhere along your journey, you've been fired up and motivated and nothing's going to stop you and life's brilliant and life's happy. But then something's happened in your business or personally, or you've had a couple of curveballs thrown at you. And maybe some of these curveballs have come all at the same time. So it's like relentless. It's like one lot of bad news after another, after another, after another. And all of a sudden, you've been up there on a high. All of a sudden, you've been knocked to your knees. And when you get knocked to your knees and you feel that overwhelming pressure that's mounting on you, it's difficult to get out of that rut. So my philosophy is this. If you were to train yourself to be positive 99% of the time, and a curveball does come flying round corner at you, you are less likely to drop to your knees because you've invested into yourself and you're remaining positive and you're looking at the outcomes that are going to come from these curveballs, and therefore you never end up on your knees. Don't get me wrong, you get punched low blows and you get some sucker punches, but I'll tell you something, I never go to my knees anymore. I used to years ago. I used to let all them negative emotions affect me. Now I don't. Yes, it's not perfect every time. Yes, I'm not happy all the time, but I'm happy and energized and motivated 99% of the time because I develop and work on myself. So what negative or poor habits do you believe that you've picked up? Because you'll have picked some of these habits up when you were on your knees that you are still carrying around with you right now. So the first thing I want you to do is identify and be honest with yourself. What are these bad habits that you've picked up? Are you constantly hitting the snooze button in the morning because you haven't got the motivation to get out of bed? I mean, come on, if that's you constantly hitting that snooze button now, how the hell can you build and grow a successful business that's going to take care of you and your family for the next 30 years when you can't even get your lazy ass out of bed? Or are you coming in from work like I used to do years ago, going straight to the fridge, cracking a bottle of Peroni or Stella open, necking 6 bottles of Stella or a bottle of wine a night and knocking yourself out? So there's certain bad habits that you've picked up along the way. Other habits that you might have, bad habits, maybe you used to have hobbies before you had a business. And now you've packed up on those hobbies, and therefore there's no fitness, there's no exercise, there's no fun, there's no love, there's no laughter in your life because it's been beaten out of you. Well, I want you to identify what these negative and bad habits are. And I want you to write them down now. Stop this recording and write down what they are. Because as of now, they have gone. You're going to change your mindset. You're going to make a conditional positive shift. And we're going to get rid of them now. Write them down. And then when you come back, I want you to screw that piece of paper up, throw it in bin, and sit back down with a completely different outlook and mindset, because this is where it's all going to start to change. So now you're committing to getting rid of them. That's okay. That's a step in right direction. But what we need to do is we need to replace those habits with something else, because you've still got to get out of bed in the morning. But the way in which you get out of bed and what you're going to do moving forward is completely different from hitting that snooze button in the morning, getting up late, rushing round, stubbing your toe on corner at bed. Now you're hopping round your bedroom. You go downstairs, you open fridge door, milk's gone off. Then you're running late, you can't find your keys, you can't find your phone, you're screaming through house, you're having a pop at your kids. You eventually get your keys, you jump in your van, now you're 20 minutes late, now you're rushing, then you're stuck in traffic, then you're late to get to the job. It just spirals out of control. Now, I don't want my days to start like that. They used to 18 years plus ago, but they don't anymore because of the routines that I've introduced. So what new good morning habits are you going to introduce? So when you get up in the morning, when your eyes wake up, you're fired up, you're motivated, you've got excitement, you want to get out of bed, you're looking forward to going to work, you're looking forward to what the day holds for you. How can we get that back installed in you? Well, listen, doesn't matter what I say, doesn't matter what anybody else says. The only person who can bring that motivation back is you. And you've got a decision to make. I can either continue to remain on that piece of paper that you've just screwed up and thrown away, or you can say, do you know what, Craig? Do you know what? I'm going to draw a line in sand. What's happened in the past and the curveballs that have happened and what's happened in my past has gone. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can change about the past. But what you can do is you can release the past and let go of it, draw a line in that sand and say, right, it's game on. Come on, what do we need to do? How can I get myself fired up, motivated, energized to be able to move my life and move my business forward? So what I'm going to do with you now is I'm going to share with you what my existing current daily morning and evening routine is. But bear in mind, my routine over this last 16 years has probably changed 20 different times, because I'm conscious that we are all at different stages in our lives. 16, 17, 18 years ago, I had young children. So what I'm about to share with you now wouldn't fit with my lifestyle 16 years ago. It fits with my lifestyle now. Now, I'm not saying for 1 minute that you have got to do anything in my routine. I'm not here to tell you what you need to do. You know what makes you trigger. You know what fires up and motivates you. I don't know that yet. I know what makes me trigger and fires me up. So I'm going to share mine with you. But please don't think for 1 minute that I am telling you that you've got to do this. And if you don't do it, you're not going to be successful. You just need to work out what your own morning and evening routine's going to be that suits you and your family lifestyle and your family environment now. It can change and it will change as the years go by, but let me share with you what I do. And if you want to take any of these pointers out and go and run with these yourselves, then that's great, do it. I'm not saying it's the be all and end all. I'm just saying this is what I do currently where I am at the stage in my life. Are you ready? Let's go. Number 1, I wake up at 4:15 to 4:30 a.m. a.m. Every morning, 7 days a week, no freaking alarm clock needed. Listen, I don't need a flipping alarm clock to get me out of bed in the morning. My why, my purpose, my passion, my drive, my determination to succeed in life, to hit my goals, that fuels me. That's what gets my ass out of bed in the morning. And the reason why I choose to get up at that time motivated, unlike some of you that will be hitting the snooze button still at 5, 6, 7 in the morning and can't be asked to get out of bed. I'm up, I'm at it from 4:15 to 4:30. And you can set your body clock without needing alarms over time to start to wake up at a certain time. And you'll do it. There'll be certain times where you go, I need to be up by X amount of clock tomorrow. And then lo and behold, 5 minutes before alarm goes off, your subconscious mind wakes you up. It's like when you book a holiday and you've got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to drive to airport. You're always up in time and your body clock is set to get you up. So it can be done. It's just that some of us have been a little bit lazy with this. Now, let me share with you why I get up at 4:15 to 4:30 a.m. Because I have what I call my golden hour. And my golden hour in the morning is where I spend around an hour working on my own personal development and working on me first. Remember what I said earlier on in this podcast, in this episode? I said to you that you've got to spend time developing you and growing you to be able to grow your business. So I need that time, and I want that time uninterrupted with no phones, no WhatsApps, no kids flying around the house, none of that. I need that time to invest into me. So when I get up in the morning, the first thing I do when my eyes wake up is I turn to my gratitude journal that I have at the side of my bed. And I've got a notepad and I have a pen at the side of my bed and a gratitude journal. And every morning, before I even get out of bed, my eyes wake, I open my gratitude journal, and in there I write down 10 things that I am most grateful for that particular day. Because I want to get up in the morning with gratitude. I don't want to get up in the morning, doom and gloom and negativity filling my mindset, because that's the vibes that I'm shooting out there into the universe. No. I want to make sure that I'm starting my day off in a positive vibe. So I will write down 10 things that I'm most grateful for that day. And then I write down 5 goals that I'm going to achieve that particular day. And I do this 7 days. Every morning, 7 days, which means I've got to come up with 70 different things I'm grateful for every single week. What I then do is I get out of bed and I start my affirmations. And affirmations are little mini statements that you are repeating to your subconscious brain every single day. So there's certain things, certain little statements that I've come up with that I share to myself, and I speak them out loud to myself, because your subconscious part of your mind and brain does not know the difference between fact and fiction, what's right and wrong. Whatever you tell your subconscious, it believes. So I get up in the morning and I use little mini statements like, Craig, the business is never the problem is always the mindset of the business owner. Craig, what is the quickest, easiest, risk-free way of you making money for the least amount of time? Craig, you have to own all relationships. And I'll say mini statements around different areas of my business and life that I drill into my subconscious mind as soon as I get up. What I then do is I'll go downstairs, I'll put the kettle on, and while it's nice and quiet, I fire up an app called Headspace.com. Headspace.com. And what I'll do is I'll sit with my earpods on and a cup of coffee, and I listen to 10 minutes of light meditation through headspace.com. Because naturally, in our DNA and how we are made and wired up as humans, it goes back to literally the caveman days, where I'm sure you've heard of fight or flight, where if you are being approached by a saber-toothed tiger, you've got a decision to make. And that is either you stay and fight for your family and your food, or you pick them up and you run. Now, that is still inside of our brains and our DNA, which is why we think negative thoughts in the morning. That's our survival mechanism and our survival instincts kicking in. So a lot of people will wake up in the morning, they're wary, they're cautious, maybe a bit of anxiety kicks in, and then all the negative thoughts comes flooding into them. And that's for our survival mechanism. Well, listen, I don't want that kicking in first thing in the morning. So what do? I replace that with 10 minutes of light meditation. So I'm putting positive affirmations and thoughts into my mindset first thing in the morning. Then what I do, I'll have a light breakfast full of carbs because I want energy first thing in the morning. And then I have a 15-minute drive to the gym that I go to. So I'm a member of 2 gyms. I'm a member of a commercial gym where I go as and when I please. But I've also got a PT who's got a private gym where I have 3 PT sessions in a private gym with Chris. And then I have 2 sessions with myself in a commercial gym. So I train 5 times a week. But in that 15-minute drive to the gym, I've not got the radio on listening to war, famine, global earthquakes, politics, religion, and all that brainwashing shit that the media comes out with. I don't listen to the radio. I haven't listened to the radio for over a decade. I haven't bought a newspaper for 18 years. I replace all that negativity and those negative statements that come out from the media by putting into my subconscious brain positive content that's going to help me. So on my drive to the gym, I'm listening to Spotify, YouTube, podcasts from other people, like you're listening to my podcast now and hopefully benefiting. I listen to other people's podcasts. I listen to audiobooks, and I'm listening to motivational and educational content that gets me pumped up and fired up first thing in the morning. And let me share this with you. You need to be consuming 2 types of content. Educational content, which is where you are learning new knowledge that's going to help you in your business or your life, such as this podcast. And you also need to be consuming what I call motivational content. And motivational content is that content that gets you pumped up, fired up, and motivated. This could be listening to some music that gets you fired up. It could be listening to Eye of the Tiger or the Rocky theme tune. Whatever it is that gets you fired up, ready for the day ahead, is what I consume. I then go to the gym, and I'm generally in the gym at 6 a.m. And I do 6 a.m. while 7 a.m. in the gym, where whether I'm training myself or I've got Chris training me, I'm being pushed and pushed and pushed to my limits. I've got the energy levels up. I've got the blood pumping. I've got the iron pumping. I'm on the treadmill. I'm on the bike. I've got my energy levels. I'm sweating. I've got that blood pumping all around my body. So by the time I leave my gym at 7 a.m, boom, it's game time. It's game on. Come on, Mother Crushers, let's bring it. That's me. That's exactly me all over. Come on, bring it. Who wants it? Let's have it. Yet some of you may well have only just stopped hitting the snooze button by 7 a.m. in the morning. Well, listen, you're behind me already because it's game time for me. How do you start your morning? But then it doesn't end for me then. I leave the gym at 7 a.m. and then I've got a 15-minute drive either back home or back to the office where, again, I've got motivational and educational content pumping out where I'm learning and firing myself up. So by the time I get home or to the office at 7:30, that's it. It's get out my way because I'm like a steam train, and if you get in my way, I'm going to bulldoze straight over you. And I don't mean that in a angry, egotistical, Billy Big Balls way. I don't mean that. I just mean when I'm laser focused on achieving success, I am relentless in pursuit of success. And that's where I am. So by 7:30, it's game time. My question to you is this. What are you doing in the morning to get yourself pumped up, fired up, get that exercise in, get rid of all negativity, replace it with positivity? What are you doing at that time in the morning? Now, remember what I've said. I'm not here to tell you that you've got to get up at 4:15 like I do in the morning. That works for me, and it works for me now. It didn't work for me years ago when I got small children. And I appreciate that some of you might have got health conditions or something like that that's going off. So therefore, you can't go to the gym, or you might not be able to exercise because right now it might not be right for you. So please don't think I'm ramming this down your throat, because I'm not. I'm just sharing with you what I do to stay top of my game. And then I'm into my day. 7:30 kicks in. I'm sat at the desk, or I'm sat shooting a podcast like this. It's game time. Now, that's my morning routine. So what I want you to do now, I want you to get another piece of paper and I want you to write down one thing, just one thing that you are going to do to change the way in which you get up and you approach your day tomorrow morning. Not next week, not next month, no bullshit excuses, right? There's only you that can do this. So what's stopping you tomorrow from going, do you know what? I could just do this. Right. I just want you to bring one thing in. Because if you try and do what I do, and I'm not making out as though I'm superhuman or anything like that, because I'm not. But if you try and do what I do in the morning, and you're not doing any of that now, it's a stretch too far. You're setting yourself up for failure before you've even started. Because for me to get to this part has took me 16 years. So take one thing, whether it's something I've just shared with you now, or whether that's something that I haven't shared and you think, do you know what, Craig, I'm not going to do any of what you've done. I'm going to do this. That's fine. I don't mind what you do, as long as we start that catalyst and that change. And tomorrow morning, you get up and you do one new thing. Then what you're going to do is you're going to run that for a couple of weeks or a month until it becomes a good habit where you don't have to think about doing it, where it doesn't become a chore to go to the gym in the morning, or where it doesn't become a chore to get up half an hour or an hour earlier. And when that becomes a good habit and you're starting to reap the benefits, only then am I going to say to you, right, now that's become a good habit, it's part of your daily routine. Now what I want you to do is add something else in. And at that point, you might add another one, maybe two things in, because you've got the bit between your teeth, you're motivated, you're fired, you're pumped up, you've now got energy, you're now starting to see benefits in your business, in your life, it's all starting to work. You might want to then drop one or two more things in until you come up with your perfect morning routine for where you are now in the stage of the life and where you're at now. And your routine will change. As you develop and you grow and your family grows, things will start to change, and that's okay. But you've got to keep that morning routine. And it's that morning routine that's helped me over these last 16 years to overcome curveballs, obstacles, hurdles that have been thrown at me because, yeah, they hit me, but they bounce off. They don't bring me to my knees anymore. Now, that is my morning routine. But I now want to move over to my evening routine, because I believe your evening routine is as important as your morning. We started off in the morning with a good vibe. We've gone through the day. We've become more productive, more efficient. We've got more done. We're not being put to his knees now with certain things that happen during the day. We're dealing with things in a better manner. Things aren't becoming overwhelming anymore. Okay, so now how do we finish the evening off? Well, again, I'm going to share with you how I do mine. But again, you don't have to do this. You just need to work out what works for you. So my evening routine is fairly simple. Number one, I always make sure that I take my kids to their football training, gymnastics, dancing, whatever they're doing. That goes into my default diary. So once I finish work at whatever time I choose to finish, I've always got my family time booked in. That's a default, nothing ever moves that. It's in my default diary, and I always make sure that I've got time for my family, and we sit down at the tea table at tea time, and we have a meal together. No phones are allowed at our table. Phones are either left somewhere else or switched off, and we spend our evening meal together as a family where we're talking and we're not looking at screens. I've stopped drinking alcohol for good. I'm over 450 odd days now without a touch of alcohol. So I don't drink alcohol anymore. I'll have a protein shake at tea time and replace that with alcohol, right? So I don't drink alcohol. I've knocked all the takeaways and the curries and the Chineses and the Dominoes and all that lot has been knocked on the head. And I'll have a meal that fits with my training and my diet that my diet plan set me. What we'll then do is, once we've done all the kids' activities, me and Sarah in particular will sit down and we'll spend quality time together. We'll watch a bit of TV. But then I'm always in bed at 9:45 latest, because I have an early start. So I'm always in bed for 9:45. I make sure I get a good 6, 7, if I can, 7.5 hours sleeping every single night. But when I go to bed, I don't play on my phone. I'm not sat in bed on my phone on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, checking emails, checking customer portals. I don't do any of that, because I want to start slowing down my brain and start processing everything that's happened throughout the day. So I'll leave my phone completely switched off on silent. That'll go at the side of my bed. And then what I do is I pick my gratitude journal up and I'll look at the goals that I set myself in the morning, and I'll write down what goals I actually achieved. But then what I write down is my intentions for the following day. What's my intentions? What are my goals for the following day? And the reason why I finish my day off with writing in my gratitude journal is this. Your subconscious brain, that's incredibly powerful, your mind, when you go to bed, when it starts processing what you've been doing throughout the day. So if you imagine going to bed and then checking your emails and you see an email that's come from a customer that's now causing you stress, or you're flicking through Facebook and looking at a load of crap, right? The last thing you start focusing on when you go to bed, your subconscious brain and your mind is processing that whilst you're sleeping. So I don't check emails, I don't do any of that, because I don't want to be processing anything that I might not want to see before I go to bed. I certainly don't go on TikTok and Reels and all this lot, because that's what my subconscious mind is going to want to process. So by me completing my daily journal and my wins and my intentions for the following day, that's exactly what I'm leaving the end of my day on. So my subconscious brain can start to focus on the positives from the day and my intentions and the wins that I'm setting for the following day. And that is my daily routine. Now, this has stood me in good stead over the years. Because your personal development, the more you get into developing yourself, you'll realise that the key to your success lies within your own mindset. Whether you tell yourself you can do it or you can't do it, it's true. I can't grow my business. I can't generate leads. I can't make more profit. I can't find the right staff. Well, guess what? If that's what you're constantly telling your subconscious mind, guess what's going to happen? But because some of us haven't invested into ourselves, we don't have the motivation and we don't have the knowledge to be able to change that predicament or that situation. Whereas now, anything that's presented to me that's a challenge or an obstacle or a hurdle, I might not have got the answer to it immediately, but I know for sure I'll find the answer and I'm motivated to get over it. And this is why I'm saying to you, your success is all down to how you personally develop yourself as an individual and a business owner. And if you were to ask any of my inner circle members at the end of their 12-month program, what is the one thing that you would now say is the key to success? 99.9999% of them aren't going to say time. They're not going to say profit. They're not going to say systems. They're not going to say team. What they're going to say is, I didn't realise this, Craig, at the time, but now I've come to the end of this 12-month program. My ultimate key to success is my mindset and my personal development. So, what I want you to do now is I want you to write down one thing that you're now going to do that's going to be a different habit that you're going to form at evening as an evening routine. And again, that's entirely up to you. It could be eating healthier. It could be knocking the alcohol on the head. It could be maybe going to the gym if you're a night owl. It could be maybe consuming content, spending a date night with your husband or your wife every Wednesday, taking your kids to football training or whatever it is you want to do. Implement one new habit into your evening routine. And then what I want you to do is I want you to, as of tomorrow, get up in the morning with new intentions. Implement that one thing into your morning routine, run through your day, and then implement that one thing into your evening routine and run that for a week. And I guarantee that if you do that for a week, you will automatically start to feel better, literally within 1 week. And when you start to feel the benefits of personally developing yourself and investing into your mindset, and you start to see the results, you'll want to do it more. And then it becomes a little bit of an obsession, and then it becomes part of your ritual, and it becomes like a military operation. And that is why I can get everything that I need to get done, and I've still got energy, and I'm still focused, and I'm still winning the game. So what I'd like you to do now is I'd love you to head over to our Trades Freedom Club Facebook group. If you're not already a member, the link will be in the description to this episode. Click the link, head over to the group, and I want you to tell me that you've listened to episode number 10 and tell me what your number one morning routine is going to be, your new habit, and what's your evening routine going to be and what is it going to look like. Because this is a safe group of professional tradespeople that you can join, where you can ask questions, share your wins, your results, and you will not get judged. You will not get slagged off or abused like you do in some of these big trades Facebook groups. You get none of that in our group because we've set the culture. And if you want holding accountable, and if you want people to support you along your journey, join the group and tell me you've listened to episode 10. Craig, my morning routine is now going to consist of this. My evening routine is now going to consist of this. and show us exactly what you're going to do to commit to growing and scaling your business and your life. So thank you for joining me on this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on our next one. Thank you.